The DMV Hoops Podcast.
This is Jonathan Scribner, head girls basketball coach at St. John's College High School, and this is the DMV Hoops Podcast.
Welcome to the DMV Hoops Podcast. I am your host, Kurt Cross. Joining me in the studio, as always, is none other than Mr. Adam Crain. Adam, please greet the people.
Kurt, thank you. I'm so happy to be back. This is episode numero dos.
Well, we had a trailer, and this is episode 1.
Yeah, so we had a trailer. And
a trailer's not an episode, though, Adam.
There you go. Well, let me tell you something.
You know what? I'm going to cut his mic off.
Hold on a second. I got word on the street. Guess what?
What?
After a trailer, guess what I'm hearing?
What are you hearing?
Tony Kornheiser. I was in my neighborhood today walking the dogs. I ran into Tony Kornheiser.
You don't have any dogs.
I was borrowing my neighbor's dogs, walking their dogs.
You live in a group home, Adam.
All right, listen. You
don't have a neighborhood.
How do we get the mic out of Kurt's? Jesus, can we? Wait, we're not recording, are we?
So yes, we're recording. Talk to me about Nigel.
What?
Talk to me about Nigel.
Well, hold up. So Tony is saying to me that he told Bill Simmons of The Ringer,
right?
Watch out. There's a DMV Hoops podcast that's going to eat up your market share.
He didn't already know?
He didn't know. So Tony,
he better recognize.
Tony K told Bill S. of The Ringer,
right? You
better watch out, Bill. They're going to dominate your market share.
Here we come.
Here we go.
We're coming right over the hill. Look, before I move any further into this episode, I got to take a moment to thank two very special fellows, Coach Steve Turner and Coach Casey O'Neill. I began a podcast journey with them in 2020. Many of you were loyal listeners of Take It To You with Turner and O'Neill. It was that podcast that launched this platform to thousands of listeners and viewers on YouTube, and I believe this new podcast, the DMV Hoops Podcast, will bring about a similar audience, but with content directed specifically at the hoops community. If you like Take It To You with Turner and O'Neill, you're going to love listening to this, the DMV Hoops Podcast. So thank you, Coach Steve Turner, formerly of Gonzaga College High School, and now the recently named head coach of Mount Verde Academy's national basketball program. And of course, thank you to Coach Casey O'Neill, former lacrosse coach and assistant AD at Gonzaga College High School, and now a partner at the Mabry Academy. Today, we launch with Episode 1, Adam. Episode 1 of the DMV Hoops Podcast. We are happy to be here and look forward to engaging with you, our audience, on this journey. The DMV Hoops Podcast is where we discuss everything DMV Hoops, from public and private school hardwood to the AAU scene and, of course, Summer League, the live period, to off-season happenings. We've got you covered. You can catch each episode on Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcast content. This is the DMV Hoops Podcast. This is episode 1. Adam, how has your week been, sir?
Hey, Kurt, are we recording?
We're recording.
This is live?
This is live.
Oh,
like
right.
The DMV live period. We're going to get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, you ever heard of Capital Hoops?
I've heard of Capital Hoops, yes.
Do you know what the Capital Hoops is? It's a sports center of DMV basketball.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Did you know
If
that?
you know anybody from Capital Hoops, you can get them in on this podcast. I'd appreciate it.
Well, there is somebody, I think. I think
right.
he's at the door.
He's at the door.
I got to tell you something. You know why the Capital Hoops is called the sports center of the DMV basketball
Tell me
scene?
why, baby.
3 years ago, I'm coaching my Alice Steele middle school kids.
Okay.
They're on the phones, of course, during practice.
Right.
I said, get over here. What are you doing on the phone?
Right.
And they say, Coach, we're on the Capital Hoops website.
Okay.
And it's all lit. It's lit. I'm like, I don't even know what lit means.
Adam, if you never say that word on this podcast again, it'll be okay. Your daughter's going to wring your neck.
I said, lit. I said, I don't know what lit means. Coach, you dork. That means it's cool. It's cool.
Okay.
Capital Hoops, this website is lit. And I say, what are you doing? He go, I said, the Capital Hoops, what is it all about? And they were like, Coach, Capital Hoops. And the kid goes, the 8th grader, he goes, it's the sports center of DMV basketball.
Okay.
I was like, oh, that's what it is. And when he said that, it's the sports center of DMV basketball.
Right.
And all his friends go, facts.
Okay.
Facts. And I'm like, oh my God, get off your phone and get back to practice.
Right. Okay. So that's
the origin of the story. That's my story.
All right.
That was a good story.
Well, I can think of no better way than to kick off this DMV Hoops podcast journey by inviting our first guest to join us. What our audience should understand is that the Washington, D.C. area, which includes D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, has long since truly been loaded with basketball talent. We could reach way back and mention players like Adrian Dantley, John Lucas, or Elgin Baylor and Austin Carr. We can keep the list going with players like Kevin Durant, Steve Francis, A.Z. Fudd, Kiki Rice, Josh Hart, Jeremy Grant, and many others. From the neighborhoods to the schools, the AAU programs to the talented coaches, the DC area simply produces a different level of basketball talent. And with that talent comes outlets for showcasing that talent. The leagues include the WCAC, the IAC, the MAC, and so many others. From girls hoops to boys hoops, there's been one entity and one outlet which has consistently supported and truly supported DMV Hoops, and that has been Capital Hoops. Now I partner with the DMV Hoops Podcast. Capital Hoops covers all things basketball in the DMV. So it only makes sense that this podcast will serve to amplify the work that Capital Hoops has already begun. With us today, the owner of Capital Hoops, Mr. Marc Stern.
Ooh, celebrity in the house. Celebrity in the house.
How we doing?
Who is Marc Stern?
Episode 1, Adam. Let's get it together.
Thank you. Someone's on my side at least.
And we're live, right?
Yes, Marc, thanks for joining us today. Marc, I do want to truly thank you for joining us, but more importantly, from the word go and the inception of the idea of this podcast, you were all in. So thanks for your willingness to see this podcast and this journey launch. Marc, why are you here? Why are you supporting us, Marc? You've got the basketball world in your hands. Why this podcast?
So over the years, a lot of folks have approached me about different podcast opportunities, and I haven't come around to finding the right one, I guess is the right way to put it. I know these things take a lot of work. I'm very busy with Capital Hoops, and the other kind of basketball endeavors that I have going on, but when you two gentlemen approached me, it was harder to turn down than when most approached me. So
You've got two good-looking faces like this.
Yeah, and we offered.
How are you going to say no?
1.5.
When he's looking at me with a half, I'm the half.
You're the half.
And we offered
y'all
we
can
offered
figure that one out.
Hey, we allowed to say we offered him a lot of cash.
You might have.
I did. I offered him a lot of cash.
You might have. Okay,
That's the only reason
that's
he's
why
here.
he's here.
By the way, Marc, you still owe me $100.
Look, Marc, I'd like to start with how I came to know you. It was several summers ago, and the then head coach of DeMatha, Mike Jones, now the head coach of ODU, mentioned to me a PA announcing opportunity for a Summer League championship game. He put us in touch, and you agreed to have me announce your championship Summer League game that summer. Marc, please take me back to that summer and perhaps even before that and talk to the people about how Capital Hoops came to be and how that mission has evolved. So how did you start with Capital Hoops?
It's going to be a long story, Kurt. All right.
Look, I've got time. I've got time today.
So contrary to what many may believe, I am not the founder of Capital Hoops.
Wait, whoa.
What?
I thought we had the original merchandise here. Cut
Get
his
rid of the
microphone
show.
off.
You got it.
I see you, Marc. You're out.
I got to
me
leave.
and Kirk can take over.
There's an Uber at the
You
door.
sold yourself
There
as
it is.
Capital Hoops. He's a fraud.
You did not.
That's a fraud.
You're not the original owner, but you are now. But tell me what happened. How did you come into ownership of Capital Hoops?
So I got to give a lot of credit to my man, Tim Chalastri. That is the founder
Writing that name down.
of Capital Hoops. Tim, PG County guy, had started Capital Hoops at a young age, probably 20 years old if I had to guess. Did an incredible job kind of pre-social media. So Twitter was like in its infancy. YouTube was had a presence at that point in time. But Tim did an incredible job showcasing DMV high school basketball when there was almost zero competition media-wise.
Okay.
And YouTube and a website were his main outlets to kind of get all the information out there. So Tim would go to games kind of the same way that I do right now every single night. I believe he had a couple of interns that worked for him so they could cover more games.
Right.
And he would run different events. I remember the first event I ever met him at that he ran was this event called Hoops for Haiti. It was some kind of fundraising event after I forget what happened in
earthquake,
Haiti.
I think,
Yeah. But that was the first time I had met Tim, face to face. And he had this message board. Some of the old timers listening to this will definitely remember what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
That's me. When he says old timers, that's me.
Okay.
He's looking at me.
There was this message board, the Capital Hoops message board, and all day, every day, this thing was booming. Just rumors, news, controversy, people beefing with each other, and I'll get to this in a minute. But when I ended up taking Capital Hoops over, one thing Tim said to me was he said, "Guard that message board. That thing will get a little too heated. People will get in each other's feelings.
Okay.
Let's
do it.
You got to be able to put people on mute, X people out, tell people to chill out, take a breather, but it was you know, and a lot of people operate under the cover of anonymity on that.
Right, no, of course.
So people would just lose their marbles at other people
Yeah.
and they wouldn't know who they are, but then some people wouldn't have anonymity, so they'd be themselves on there. So that opened up like an interesting dynamic of some people kind of hiding behind the curtain and some not. But
Well, you got keyboard tough guys, you know.
Yeah, that's
of
right.
course, absolutely. I think that was the infancy of keyboard
love
tough
it.
guys. So, anyways, I was a big fan of Capitol Hoops,
Right.
And I was going to the website fairly regularly, just checking in, watching highlights, just trying to keep abreast of what's going on in the high school hoop scene. So one day he puts an ad up and says, looking for some part-time work. So I already have a job at the time, but I hit him up and I'm like, I'm interested in coming aboard, helping you out, weeknights, maybe a weekend here and there. Can't do a whole lot, but I'll help you out. So he says, all right, come along. So he gives me a video camera and I'm going once or twice a week and just filming video.
You even know what you're doing at this point? You got a camera and you're rolling.
I don't know anything. I don't know anything.
Wait, you're single. You're single. You're not married.
Yeah.
But you love hoops. Is that why you're? What?
Yes.
Is that your?
Yes.
You
That's
love
all it
hoops.
takes.
All right. That's all it takes.
Always love high school basketball.
All right. There you go. Mhm.
So
ding ding.
So, I would go to these games, film them, and then I'd get on I can't remember what was Zoom 15 years ago.
Skype?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Right?
There was no, I don't think
Whatever
it was
that was.
FaceTime then, but
Right.
it was some kind of video
was
thing.
Skype.
And we'd get on the Skype, and he'd just teach me how to upload the video to the computer. He'd go through how to edit everything. I mean, I remember a couple times he had to come over to my apartment at 1 a.m. and just finish editing, finish editing a video.
Get off
for
this
me.
topic.
Adam. Fast forward, after me working with him for a year and a half, it was the summertime, so there's not much going on basketball wise. I think it was August, and I log into the website just to see, I don't know if there's anything on there. And there's an ad that says Capitol Hoops is being sold.
Okay.
And I'm like, what? I'm like, what is going on here?
Never heard this story.
I've worked for this guy, and we have pretty good communication.
He
I'm
was holding out on you.
I'm dumbfounded. So
That was
I call him
under
up
the
and
tape.
I'm like, Tim, what's the deal? What do you mean the website? And he goes on to tell me that he's not making, the living that he needs to make with Capitol Hoops. And he has found a company in China who wants to purchase the website because of all of the traffic that it's garnering
Mark,
to sell.
this sounds
Hold on.
Are you serious?
Wait for the kicker.
Okay.
He wants to buy, this company in China wants to buy the website to sell vacuum cleaners.
Okay, because a lot of
Okay, Mark,
people
I
who play
believe-
basketball need to vacuum
Look,
things.
I believe in truth in broadcasting,
Yeah.
Mark. And you're starting to you're taking the wrong off ramp
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
but I'm listening. You got me.
Mark,
so
you had
vacuums.
us at hello, but what's up with this?
Okay, so vacuums,
It's a true story, right?
So my man is trying to monetize what he's built, and he's built something that has a hell of a lot of traffic coming to it. And the best thing he can think of to monetize this asset is to sell this thing to some group in China that has seen all the traffic that it's getting. And they want to sell vacuum cleaners on it as long as
traffic keeps up, right?
as long as the traffic keeps up. So I'm like, bro, can we please get together and can we talk about this? Because
They got a lot of traffic on their carpets.
I really see your vision, and I want to take Capitol Hoops and I want to keep the train moving because you've done a great job up to this point. And
Right.
if you sell this to vacuum cleaner, whoever, obviously nothing is ever going to come away with it. You're going to make a little bit of money and then it'll just dissolve into nothing.
Right.
And I want to continue what you've done, and I really love what you've done. So I remember we met at this some restaurant, I think it was in Laurel, some old country buffet or
Right.
Bob's Big Boys or something sort of along those lines. And I bought the company for $2,500.
All right.
$2,500.
Wow.
And
Hey, Mark, I'll buy it from you now for $2,500.
Yeah, no shit.
I'll give you 26.
You know what? This
I'll
is
give you
like
2600.
2,500 Bitcoins. What's up?
Wait. This sounds like that ESPN story in Connecticut when, they sold out.
I never
for
heard that story. Sorry.
Dang. I'm not getting a good vibe here.
So fast forward, I purchased Capitol Hoops
Right.
from Tim in 2000 and I want to say 8, 9, something like that.
Right.
And now I've inherited, this company, but everyone knows Tim. Like the same way everyone knows Marc right now.
Right.
Like Capital Hoops was Tim. Right. It wasn't, the two were synonymous. So now I got to go out and kind of like reprove myself, like reformulate the relationships, that Tim had with all the coaches around here. And it definitely took me a couple years to kind of get my foothold. But we were able to do it. And then, fast forward to 2018, that was finally when I got into the event space, because it was strictly a media company for the first, 8 years you want to call it. So, I started getting into the event space, and the summer league that you're referencing, that was the first like event type thing that we ever got into.
All right, let me ask you this. So 2018, you finally got into the event space. So that was sort of the watershed moment when it really sort of, you kind of took off. When you wrote that $2,500 check way back when, were you nervous? Were you thinking, did you have a vision for it? Did you think you could make it into what it is today?
That's a good question. I didn't know what the future held. All I knew was I had some spare time on my hands, and I wanted to do something new at that point in time. And it was like a serious passion of mine, and I wanted to give it a shot. And hey, worst comes to worst, like people lose a lot more money, getting involved with businesses.
You just sell it to a vacuum company,
right? Right. I always got Dyson on the back burner waiting for me.
Dyson in China.
Dyson in China. Right. Not here in the USA.
But no, Marc, you took whatever that vision was. And what I'm hearing so far, and I don't want to assume your story, but it sounds like you were open to whatever it would be, and you took whatever was coming your way. You had to formulate, like you said, repopulate those relationships, because, the coach at XYZ High School, they knew, is Tim, you said?
Yep.
They knew Tim. They don't know you. And what I know of Capital Hoops now, and we're still going to get to the intermediate parts of your story, but what I know of Capital Hoops now is Capital Hoops is everywhere. You've got interns galore. You've got, media rooms with nothing but pizza and spreads of food. And I'm not suggesting that, you've turned this into, some multi-billion-dollar company yet. I hope you get there. But and I'd like
that's
to
next
be
week.
there when you do.
Yeah,
but no, you have a formula now. Like literally, as recently or as long ago as like 4 or 5 years ago, my kids are wanting to know who won, some MPSSAA game. And if it's playoff time, I'm just waiting for the Capital Hoops tweet to come out.
Right.
I'm waiting for the Capital Hoops tweet. Like I'm watching your tweets when 13 people like them. And now if I wait 2 minutes and I like it, I'm like the 138th person that liked it after like 2 minutes. So the popularity has grown. But so let's go back to your vision. You didn't know what the heck it was going to be. You were just going to put your time into the sport you loved, right?
Absolutely. And I was not good with technology at the time either,
right.
which was, which complicated things a little bit, because this is a very sort of technology-based thing that we're doing. So everything I did, I either taught myself or Tim taught me, through these Skypes, which was, but, once he was gone, I had nobody.
Right.
So now it's like I'm YouTubing random stuff.
I'm
going into camera shops and like asking these guys questions. There was a big learning curve.
Of course.
And I feel like with people, maybe not you, Kirk, because you have all this experience with, your DJing and your podcast and everything that you do. But for some of us, like older folks,
like me,
like
I'm old as shit.
Getting a grasp on technology isn't second nature.
That would be me.
Like it's hard, and you don't know what the hell's going on. So
that's right.
that was kind of me, but I feel like I did a pretty good job of like teaching myself and asking the right people. And I feel like, this day and age, all the young kids with the cameras are like freaking wizards with this stuff.
Yep.
And it's incredible how the whole thing has kind of progressed.
Well, I'll tell you exactly what it is, Marc. You're younger than me, I think. And all the kids you're talking about with cameras now, I'm going to give you a term, and our audience needs to grasp this term. They are digital natives. You and me are digital immigrants.
Sure.
Because we started before this digital thing happened, and we had to learn it along the way.
Right.
They're digital natives. My daughter was born at 6 months. She had an iPod, and she learned how to work on a screen. We didn't learn how to work on a screen, right? When we were coming up. So they know this stuff. Marc, I'm going to do it publicly now because I've done it a lot. I've given you credit from where you were to where you are. Because when we did Summer League, you were, trying to figure things out or whatever you were doing. That was years ago when Mike introduced me to you. And now it seems like, and I know behind the scenes, there's always some things, there's some fires to put out. but it's a well-oiled machine. Your events are well-oiled. I mean, Behan Classic. And I want you folks to know, and I want to tell on Mark right now, every time he does an event, hey, Kurt, I hope people show up. And like by the middle of game one, it's sold out. Curtis, can you tell the people to squeeze in a little bit and move their backpacks because we need more space? So I want you to at least take the moment to understand that while I think it's a great idea to never be satisfied, your events are successful. And I know you've seen some days where they weren't, but, Mayhem on Military,
Capital Classic.
All these things. I mean, you remember Mayhem on Military. Like, we were hoping teams would not stick around with their fans because we're trying to get more fans in the door.
Yeah.
And by game 3, there's a sign on the door, no tickets. In fact, wait a minute. Adam, you had to get me into the game.
That's right.
One of your events, I'm the PA announcer.
Yeah.
He has to get me in because your security won't let me in.
Yeah.
So you're running a good thing, but can you at least show them my picture? So they know.
Let me tell you something. When you say it's successful, Capital Hoops is successful, that's an understatement.
You're going to jump ahead to content we haven't gotten to yet, aren't you?
Well,
I know you. You over it, anxious son of a gun.
I know I'm a little bit jittery, but I'm kind of excited because we got 2 celebrities in the house, one Kurt Cross and Marc Stern. But it's interesting.
All right.
I'm a digital dinosaur, by the way, so I don't know where the hard drive is.
So you predate us.
Yeah, exactly. I just can't turn on the TV. But I got to tell you, when I told all my hoop head buddies that I was doing a podcast with Kurt Cross,
those 3 of them, the 3 buddies you have.
Yeah, I just paid somebody else. He's part time, so 4. They're 4. 3 full time friends.
Okay, one part-time. I got you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Larry
that was a joke.
Was it Mo, Larry, Curly? Those are 3 friends. And Shemp. Shemp is the part-time guy. Okay.
Well, what about you?
I've got
Mark. I'm not friends with Mark. Let me just tell you. I was telling all my hoop head buddies, "Hey, we're doing a podcast with Marc Stern."
Right?
And they're like, "Who?" I'm like, "Serious?" I know. I'm like, "No, Marc Stern."
Uh-huh.
They're like, "What do you mean? Who's Marc Stern?" And then I said, "He's the guy who does Capital Hoops." And they're like, "Oh, snap! Capital Hoops."
He keeps low profile.
I want to meet. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that who's the guy? Who is this guy behind Capital Hoops? I mean, he's built up a monster. I mean. Right. Capital Hoops represents DMV basketball in its totality. Right. It is the sports. Those kids I was coaching 3 years ago were right when they said, Coach, Capital Hoops is the sports center of DMV basketball. Right. It is the sports center of DMV basketball. There's no close second.
I'm in gyms at St. Andrews, at Landon, at Holton, at St. Mary's Riken. I'm at St. John's. I'm at DeMatha. Never called a game at Gonzaga. I never got that call. But I've called some games with them in it.
And that's ironic.
So I'm in the DMV basketball space. My kids would hate it if I did not say I'm in the Turkey Thicket space. I'm in Coolidge, like all these things. But if I need scores, I'm just waiting for Capital Hoops to get me my scores. So they are the place to go. It's unfortunate that there is no one body that does it, but you do it. You cover that. And Mark, look, folks, don't expect Mark to cover all 638 games in one night when everyone opens on the first Friday in December in public school. But he's going to cover the games that matter, some games you never heard about. And when it's playoff time, everything is getting covered. I don't know how many interns you have, but I'm getting tweets. We're live at Flowers. I'm getting tweets. We're in Laurel. We're at Athelton High School. I mean, we're everywhere with Capital Hoops. And I'm going to say we because you're partnering with us now, but we are everywhere. Mark, again, I just want you to sit back every now and then and be in the corner of the gym by yourself and look and say, I took this thing over 16 years ago, and here we are. And I'm not going to say I'm proud of you because I don't stand above you, but I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
Sold a lot of vacuum cleaners.
Yeah, you did. You did. There's a company in China looking for you right now because they want that website. Imagine if you sold it now.
You think the traffic was big? You think the traffic was big then?
Right?
Wow.
But no, you remember that summer league, and you were like, "I'm just trying to figure things out." And, And here you are now. So look, speaking of summer league, the upcoming summer league over at DeMatha is a Capital Hoops production. And I don't know how many teams you had at first, Mark, but you're in the 50s now. Talk to me about what that looks like. I know you have a big Zoom call tomorrow, and I don't know how you're going to fit all those coaches on one screen, but talk to me about the Capital Hoops DeMatha Summer League.
The evolution of Summer League.
Please.
So Mike Jones, who you mentioned a minute ago, former DeMatha coach at ODU now, he approached me in 2018, and he was running Summer League with a couple of his assistant coaches at the time. And Jones was coaching USA. He's coaching DeMatha. It's also his kind of like, time off from like high school basketball. And he just didn't have
summer camp.
Right. They had camp. So he didn't have like the energy to put into summer league what he thought, it could have taken to get to a certain point, that he didn't have the time and I guess resources to kind of get it there. So, so he approached me. We were very friendly at the time, and asked me, if it was something that I'd be interested in. And I said yes. Okay. So we talked about it for 6 months. And that first year, we kind of ran summer league together. I kind of did all the paperwork and clerical stuff, and he just kind of showed me the ropes, et cetera, et cetera. I want to say that year we had either 18 or 20 teams in summer league. All right. So fast forward this year, this is 2025. So this is our 8th year, but we missed one for COVID. So I guess 7th year. Right. We're up to 56 teams this year.
Come on, Mark.
We have 2 locations. This will be the 3rd year that will be at Annapolis Area Christian School in Severn, Maryland, in addition to DeMatha.
So the damn thing is so big that you can't even host all the games you want to host.
Shit, I'm trying to find a place in Virginia next year to add to the repertoire.
Wow.
To be honest with you.
Look, I'll jump in the car with you. We can scout some locations.
Hey, can I come along?
No.
Dude, you guys are not nice.
He doesn't have a baby seat in the back. He needs a car seat in the back for you.
I actually do have a car seat in the back.
Okay, so you can go.
I got a large tushy, man, and I'm kissing some tushy right now. Hey, listen. The Capital Hoops Summer League at DeMatha is. Did you guys know this? It's the biggest summer league in the nation.
He runs it. How's he not going to know that?
No, but I don't even know if he knew that.
How's he not going to know that?
Because he runs it.
Listen, Can you stop slamming my desk with your cheap watch?
Look. Mark doesn't understand the monstrosity of the beast he's created.
So now you're saying he's ignorant?
No, I've done a lot of.
You're saying?
No, I'm not saying he's ignorant. I've done a lot of research.
I'm running the board. I can cut his mic off.
When I figured out how to turn my computer on, I started Googling.
Right.
I just discovered Google like last week, and I'm looking. What's the biggest? I Google what's the biggest summer league in the country.
Right. And what do you get?
Get this man over here. Capital Hoops Summer League, DeMatha.
56 teams.
56 teams.
That's a lot of action.
It's the biggest summer league in the nation.
Tell me, I need to know this, though. How much of a value is that ticket that someone can get to that game? How much is the ticket?
Free 99.
Free 99? Not free 99.
It's free. There's no summer league. There's no cost. When Mike Jones gave me the summer league in 2018, one of his principal things he had for me was, please keep this free to the public.
I love that.
Unless you get to a point where you just it is not going to go on anymore. Like you have no other options but to
right. Okay.
So it's pretty expensive to get into the summer league. It definitely costs more to play in this summer league than any other summer league in the DMV.
But you get the talent. It's worth it.
By probably a wide margin. But this is what I put in the email to all the coaches. This is a premium product.
Right.
100%.
We have 40 interns running around interviewing kids, doing video, doing photography.
I mean, is there like press row? You're serious with this thing, huh?
We're on it.
There is
We're on the press row.
This ain't your granddaddy summer league, folks.
Yeah, we partner with Legit Stats, who comes in and they keep stats at every single summer league game.
I know. I get them on my tweets.
So there's a printout at the end of halftime, at the end of the game that all the coaches get, and then we have interns that import all those stats into our website. So you can go to the summer league website right now. You could go back to 2022. I think it goes back 3 years. So yeah 22. Yeah. And you can see the top 500 leading scorers in summer league. Okay. From number one was probably Tyler Perkins, who was MVP that year, who's at Villanova now, at 31 points per game, all the way down to the 14th man at BCC, who averaged 0.0 points per game.
By the way, Tyler Perkins, a Landon product.
That is correct.
but also, Mark, speak to your social media followers.
Whoa. We can't go too quick.
You're putting them on a dominant platform. That's what's special.
I'm hearing this thing, but I just want to make sure folks understand. This is a premium product. You're not going to see, just run-of-the-mill games. You're going to see there's a battle every night. There's multiple courts. There's multiple teams. There's multiple games. And you're getting all of this action at no cost at the DeMatha Capital Hoops Summer League at 2 locations, DeMatha and Lanham Christian.
Annapolis area
Excuse
Christian.
me. Annapolis Area Christian School. So premium product, 2 locations, and you heard it right here. He's looking in Virginia at some point to expand this thing out there, but you already have teams coming from Virginia. Is that correct?
I think we have I think we have 17 teams that come up from Northern Virginia. So, that's kind of a shitty drive. We allowed to curse on here?
Yeah,
What do you mean? I already cursed 11 times.
Just
beep, beep.
I love when I listen
beep.
to other people's podcasts and they ask the host, "Am I allowed to curse on here?"
So you just gotta say that, huh?
First time, long time, as they say. So anyway, anyways, we have a lot of traffic coming up from Virginia, but like these teams are always complaining about the traffic, the accidents. Like every once in a while, there'll be a crazy accident. Everybody will be late.
The team is late. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're at a point now where we have the numbers down in Virginia. So I would love to get a spot down in Virginia. It doesn't need to host as many games as DeMatha, but just to give some of those teams the opportunity to not make that commute up here would be ideal.
There are schools like Robinson, South Lakes. They got huge gyms. You already know this.
Oh, yeah,
you already know that, right?
I mean,
this is St. James. I mean, there's a lot of things going on out there where there's some gym space.
I feel like all those public schools. I haven't been to like a ton of them, but I feel like all the public schools
gyms,
down in Virginia are enormous, man.
I'll tell you what. Get yourself out in Loudoun
Because you're in
County.
Virginia.
How about the place where the WCAC Robinson had the WCAC finals like 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Robinson Secondary is a huge school.
That COVID year.
That gym holds like 5K out there.
Yeah,
That's a
hey,
huge school.
Listen, DeMatha holds 3,500, right?
Probably with standing room and everything.
I mean, DeMatha is classic. I mean, talk about the history. But how many social media followers you got? That's what's special about Capital Hoops.
Well, the thing is, we have a lot of different
outlets.
Yeah. I mean, but just on Twitter alone, if I open my phone up right now, I probably got 8 or 9 different Twitter like handles.
Right,
we got, certain ones for certain events.
What I love that you did was you started that summer league Twitter. I love that. Yeah, because you just get the straight information from there.
Right. And then DMV Live, we have the same thing for Twitter. The Maryland private school state playoffs that we started 3 years ago.
By the way, you know what?
Separate Twitter.
Talk on that for a second. I got to do this real quick. Good deal with the Maryland private school thing you do. That thing has grown. How many years have you done that one?
We just finished our second year with the girls, and the boys, we just finished our third year with the boys.
And give you more credit because you're including the girls part of that tournament.
Had to.
Mark, look, here's the problem I have. I know Mark, and I can text him, but like everyone else, I'm waiting. He's like, brackets come out Monday. I'm like, damn it, can you hurry up and put those brackets out? Because I want to know. And you have automatic bids. Like, folks, you need to understand the product that is Capital Hoops, and you do an excellent job with it. Can
I say something? It's Adam here.
Let's Adam. Go for it, Adam.
Hey, Mark, I'll tell you how many social media followers you have. 60,000. Over 60,000 if you combine them all.
All right.
Because I counted.
He has a reach.
He has over 60,000. Capital Hoops has over 60,000 social media followers if you take all the platforms and put them together. And you know how many YouTube subscribers they have?
How many?
Over 16,000.
Well, that's because they got a lock on
the
market.
The biggest media reach around for basketball.
Well, that's why we wanted to partner with you, Mark, because we don't want to take up any more space than we have to. This is you run this whole Capital Hoops, and everyone knows to go to Capital Hoops for the information. Our part in this is going to be to give you the exposure and the DMV Hoop scene exposure on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Amazon Music. I didn't name the 17 platforms, Ron, but if you're on iHeartRadio, guess what's going to happen? You're going to hear this podcast every time we drop an episode. So, Mark, thank you again. I've already thanked you, but thank you again. We're going to be there with some of your interns. We're going to have, we're going to get some recordings. We're going to interview coaches. We're going to interview players, and we're going to hopefully amplify, the Capital Hoops name even more. By the way, let's talk about the fact that we want to get sponsors. So if you want to sponsor the product that has 16,000 subscribers on YouTube and 60,000 followers on social media, we're going to give you a voice on this platform. And we're real interested in hearing from you. So make sure you get in contact with us because, you know what? We want those sponsors.
We got to move May 18th to July 3rd. That summer league starts May 18th.
Thank you. We talk about where it is. We talk about that it's free. We talk about 56 teams. It starts in 3
May
weeks.
18th. It's right.
It starts in 3 weeks on May 18th.
And the DMV Live 2 showcase weekends of 3 days and nights of basketball.
Tell me when that is.
Draw over 5,000 spectators at each one. And those are the 2 weekends in June. Mark, what are those 2 weekends in June, those 3-day weekends?
Yeah, the boys events are the last 2 weekends in June, and then this will be our third year with the girls event, which is blowing up. Girls event doing numbers out here.
And that's a bolus, that girls DMV Live event. Let me tell you, so those DMV Live events are the most high profile events in the country. for basketball.
By the way, you talk about the girls' basketball scene, and I mentioned it earlier. You got folks like AZ Fudd. She just won a national championship. You've got Kiki Rice. She was right there. And shout out to Tamika Dudley. She's been on my podcast before. She's at the St. James now. And have they made a decision down at Sidwell yet? I don't know if they did.
Not to my knowledge.
No.
Okay, so there's a vacancy there.
And I don't know if we're going to touch on this, but there's a lot of vacancies in the boys' space right now, too. A lot of dominoes going to be falling soon.
That means you got to come back on the podcast next week.
Maybe I'll give a hint before we jet tonight.
I heard there's an announcement somewhere. There's some announcements coming this week. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not mentioning Moco, PG,
that's hot,
or Charles County or whatever. But there's some things that are going to be announced soon.
Walt Whitman got a new JV coach. That's what I'm talking about.
Is that the nugget you're going to drop? No, don't drop it on him. Don't drop the nugget on him. Please don't do that.
Speaking of hot, that guy is hot.
Mark, do me a favor. I just want the people to hear, before we sign off for the day, I want the people to hear, how has the exposure for the game, the teams, and the athletes changed during your time with Capital Hoops? I know social media has been big, but years ago, what was it? It was Huddle or whatever, but, and I know Huddle still exists now, but how has the exposure changed in your tenure? How have you had to change what you do?
So when Capital Hoops was, when I was there on the ground floor back in 2009, 2010, right? It was literally Capital Hoops, DC Sports Fan, and the Washington Post.
Okay.
And that's it.
Right.
That's it when it comes to media. Now there was photographers, but when it comes to media outlets, I mean, there might be somebody else out there, but that was I didn't know where to turn for anything if I wasn't at a game other than DC Sports Fan or the Washington Post.
Right.
So I'd say over the next decade, every year there'd be a couple new guys on the block, and then every year one of those new guys would be gone and a couple new ones would be in. So we were gradually growing because more people were coming on than were fading off. But I'd say around 2018, 19, things changed drastically.
Yeah, they did.
And now there was 20 new outlets coming on every year and 10 fading off. So now we're going up by 10 every year.
Right.
And the advent of social media and just the popularity that social media brought, I mean, has just been an absolute game changer. I mean, it's there's so many different forms of social media. I mean, TikTok is not something that I have any experience with. I don't even know if I have it on my phone, but that's a huge one that a lot of the kids are into that I haven't even journeyed into yet.
Right.
We have daughters, we know.
But through the Twitters and the Instagrams, the YouTubes, I mean, that's what everyone does. They sit there, they scroll their phone, they might subscribe to your thing, or they might just randomly see your stuff and share it with each other. And I don't know all the algorithms. I wouldn't consider myself a professional when it comes to social media, but I got a lot of interns who are really good at it. And,
there you go.
A wise man once told me you got to surround people with you that are smarter than you if you want to succeed. So
that's right. And that's why I'm hanging out with you two.
And this is the company I keep?
That's why I'm hanging out with you two.
This is the company I keep?
Because I'm a lot smarter than you two.
I want to do one correction because it might be an eye-opener for you, Adam. Do you know my kids have no social media? We don't do it.
Wow.
My kids have no social media.
Good for
Looks
you.
like Adam's on an island.
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah. We're going to start to wrap this up. We've got a lot of talent here. Folks can see that talent at the live periods. They can see it at the Capital Hoops DeMatha Summer League. What gets you most excited about the Summer League this year?
I mean, Summer League has so many teams from so many different areas. We have 56 teams. So there's so many counties represented. There's, public schools, private schools, Virginia, DC, Maryland. We got a team that comes down, from Pennsylvania.
Right.
It's just encompassing so many different areas, so many different neighborhoods into one Summer League. I mean, you have a team like Chambersburg that comes down from Pennsylvania will play a team like Patriot from, I don't even know what county they're in.
Loudoun County.
Loudoun County.
Yeah.
I mean, they're deep.
Right. That's one of my clients.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they would never, ever in a million years play each other in any circumstance. And now most of these, so let me take it one step further. Most of these summer leagues, like there's a Montgomery County Summer League, right? It's all Montgomery County teams.
Right.
All you play during the season is Montgomery County teams. It gets stale. It gets old.
How do we get better?
That's right.
How do we get better if Chambersburg is not coming to Loudoun County or coming to Mathis to play Loudoun County, right?
Right. And you just want to see different looks. You don't want to see the same dudes that you always see. You don't want to face the same coaches who know all of your sets. You want to just expand and try different stuff. And like
Summer League's the time to do it.
It's incredibly rare. Like, in fact, I don't think it happened one time last year where two teams from the same county had one game against each other.
That's got to be a nightmare, putting that schedule together.
Oh, my God.
Is that where the interns come in?
You need an algorithm.
I got a couple of people that help me with it, but when I tell you that is a monster of an ordeal.
Oh, I bet.
Right.
It is.
I bet.
I mean, the biggest problem is Johnny can't play on Tuesday.
Right.
This guy's got an hour.
You need a computer algorithm.
This guy's got an hour and a half.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if there is an algorithm out there, but like taking into account like travel and we play in another summer league on this day.
Right.
It is.
Is it going to be at the Christian school or
Right.
like where are you going to put them? You got to have locations. You got to have gym space, and you've got to put. People don't understand what it takes. You say, okay, you have 56 teams. Just toss their names in a hat and play some games. Well, you got to space the games an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes apart.
You got to get the refs.
You got to get refs, officials for all these games. The concession stand has to be open. Someone's got to sell T-shirts. There's got to be people. Legit Stats has to know your schedule. There's a really big footprint.
And then, the number one thing that you didn't mention is just managing the 40 interns, because most of them don't really know.
Right.
They're pretty green when it comes into it. They've kind of
What a great experience for them, though.
honed their craft by the end of it, but just getting all of them on the same page, making sure, they're doing what they're supposed to do, but they're also not doing all the same things. So it's like counterproductive is important.
Right.
And then also providing leadership for the interns. So I have a couple guys that I've hired this year, Justice Mitchell and Justin Cameron.
Shout out there.
And they're kind of like, their job is to kind of be in charge of the interns. Right. So they're talking every day to the interns, giving them pointers. And it's just, at this point, the way this thing has grown, it's at a point where I can't do everything myself.
You cannot. Mark, I'm glad you realized that.
And I did everything myself for way too
Yeah,
long.
you did.
Right.
Yeah, you did.
100%.
I mean, Mark and I I'll text him at 6 o'clock in the evening, and when I wake up the next morning at 2:38 in the morning,
right.
he texted me back
a night owl.
because you've been running and running and running.
Yeah.
And Mark, I mean,
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Andrew Brilliant, who's been helping me for like 8 years.
Is his last name really Brilliant?
Always has been, Adam.
Wow.
Wouldn't have called him that otherwise.
I love that last
Right,
name.
we call people by their first.
Can you
and last
change
name.
your last name? Because I want to change my name to Brilliant.
You can
Well,
marry him.
you can. You can marry him. You can do that.
I can. That wouldn't fly.
Okay.
For a couple reasons.
Well, for a couple reasons, but I mean, his name is Brilliant.
Wait, well, let me ask you: is he married?
I don't know.
All right,
But we
what,
got to
let's
give
get
him
back-
his
let's get
props.
back to
There's other brilliance out there.
Let's get
in the
back to
world.
business. Still.
All right. So,
Can he
anyways,
get his fame?
So Andrew,
3 weeks to go.
Andrew has been incredibly helpful for the last 8 years with me. He's kind of in charge of our content and all of our video, all the YouTube stuff. And, he's just been a massive part of Capital Hoops. And he's like a little under the radar. I think most people in the media space know who he is, but I feel like maybe Mark Stern gets a little too much credit and Andrew doesn't really get enough. So.
Andrew, Brilliant, thank you, sir. Give him his flowers now because he's a part of how Capital Hoops runs. Mark, look, I'm going to put you on the spot for one thing right here, right now. And he didn't even know this was coming, but I'm going to put you on the spot right now. I want my company's name to be on that bracket board when teams slap their name on the bracket board for your playoffs and Summer League Championship. Can you tell me right now, right here, that you will do that, or you decline me and you look like a heel in front of everybody? We want to sponsor that.
Guess what the answer is, Mark?
Dynamic DJ Entertainment wants to sponsor that bracket
you're
board
in.
that everyone wants to slap their name on. Can I have the board?
Sign us up, baby. We in there.
Look
All
at
right.
that. Look at that. A partnership has been formed right here.
Yes, and our
right
thousands
now.
of listeners are witnesses.
There are witnesses. You can't renege now. You can't welch on your bet now, okay?
Just so you know, fellas, so
never
May
have,
18th.
never will.
Hey, Capital Hoops Summer League starts May 18th. That's 3 weeks from today.
Right.
Everybody who's anybody in hoop scene in DMV is talking about the Summer League. That's all. They're very excited. Everybody's pumped about the Summer League.
Right.
Everybody, let's get going.
So let's get it going. That's going to happen in 3 weeks from today. May 18th, we start. Can you stop banging the table?
Oh,
the
sorry,
microphone picks
sorry.
up everything.
I'm just so excited.
Look, we've covered a lot, but I think That was our intent with the DMV Hoops podcast. Gentlemen, I think we've come to the end of episode 1. Not episode 2, Adam. It's episode 1. I want to thank you, Adam, as always, for joining me. And you know what? He never comes in here empty-handed. He always brings something.
Yeah,
so
right.
thank you for doing that. And
Usually it's cash.
What did he bring today?
Cash.
he brought these magazines.
I brought some
You got one
lifesavers.
right there. He bought the magazines.
It's your world. We're just along for the ride.
Look, I want to thank Mr. Marc Stern with Capital Hoops, but look, get used to his voice because our studio is open to him. Thanks for being our guest today on episode 1. We also want to thank our listeners for tuning in. And remember, spread the word. The DMV Hoops podcast can be found on Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcast content. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
The DMV Hoops Podcast is hosted by Kurt Cross, featuring Adam Crain. Thanks for listening.